we're going to go ahead and get started. It is 4:19 p.m. on March 4th, 2025. Calling the session, this open session, this meeting of the Arlington ISD Board of Trustees. We have on our agenda tonight a workshop. We'll turn it over to Dr. Smith.
Trustees, thank you again for being here on a special meeting night. This is the continuation of our discussion with MoakCasey for strategic planning, and appreciate y'all being involved and invested in this because it's an extremely important piece for our school district moving forward. As you all know, we have Bob Gilcrease and Jody Duran here as our facilitators, and they're going to take it from here.
All right, so we'll just jump in right away. Just as a recap from our last meeting, this is a continuation from our last meeting, and we talked about a lot of things last meeting, but particularly your desire as to whether or not we needed to rethink, maybe consider not maybe a rewrite or a refresh of your mission and vision statements, but obviously developing belief statements. We always include the community and our stakeholders in this process, and so from what we heard at our last meeting, that was the desire of this board, was to really think about maybe considering a refresh of your mission, vision, and beliefs. You'll notice vision is sort of highlighted there because really you all set the direction and you set the vision for the district, and so we want to have a conversation with you all first about what you all perceive for the vision of Arlington ISD, the future of Arlington ISD. And so just getting your initial input before we start having that conversation with the community, I think is keenly important. And then those dates that we have planned, March 6th and 27th, we've been working with your team, and I appreciate Samantha and the team for helping us coordinate these dates. We've got 6 meetings scheduled. Most of our MoakCasey team will be joining us. We'll divide up into those 2 days, 3 community meetings on the 26th, 3 community meetings on the 27th. We want to make sure that we identify if we have pockets of bilingual families that we want to include and make sure that they're included in this process. One of our staff members is bilingual, and so she's prepared and ready to come and join us. And so we can even have an extension of one of those meetings if we have a larger group of bilingual folks on the 26th and 27th. So just so you know that is what's in our head and in our plan. So we'll be here those 2 dates. And then also, just as a reminder, we spent a lot of time talking about, and I pulled them out again to review them, your board priorities, your key progress measures that you all developed for this year. And these were specific for this year, although there was some discussion about, are these going to carry over as the overarching priorities into the new strategic plan? I think that's still up for question and conversation, but I think part of that is really contingent on what we hear from the community and from you all when we start doing SWOT analysis. When we do when we start to gauge interest and perceptions about what we see as the strengths and weaknesses, opportunities and threats of the district. So we'll start gathering information around that to really anchor in on are these still the right key board priorities and progress measures. But again, what you all developed this year was specific for this year, and I want to make sure that's understood as we're going forward. And then, of course, just so you know, we understand, we've reviewed your board policy, and I think as we start to talk about the strategic plan, there are things that we may address that might have an impact on your board policy. And so I think we want to work with your administration team, your legal counsel, to address those issues as well. And just, if you have questions along the way, just jump in. We want to know.
I have a question already.
Yes.
So when we talk about the priorities that we adopted for 24-25, it feels like we took more than half the year to even get those priorities adopted, and then to know that they might not carry over for another year, and whoever is elected would be adopting again different ones. It seems almost like we wasted that time.
Yeah, so I think what you'll find with the framework that we have, and again, it is customizable to meet the needs of this district. But I think what you'll find is all of the things that are in your current priorities are buckets that actually align to our current strategic plan. So if these are still relevant and still the things that we want to focus on, I think they fit perfectly in the strategic plan and framework. But for the sake of I want to make sure, as I look at this, I see 24-25. These key progress measures, specifically related to these key priorities, were specific for this school year. And Dr. Smith, I don't know if you want to say anything about that.
I think I remember from our last discussion, I think what we landed on was the board wanted to see these priorities reflected in our next strategic plan. They might not be the big heading, but they would still be reflected in the strategic plan. These things aren't going to go away. The measures that we talk about, the key progress measures, were specifically for 1 year, but these priorities can definitely live on moving forward. And we frankly did our best to line them up with what we know is involved in most strategic plans when you develop it. You usually have one that talks about academics and something that talks about safety and security, something that talks about resources, et cetera. So we tried to do our best to make sure that they could sustain, and whether you all want them as the focal point and the key priorities or just embedded in the strategic plan so we keep working on them no matter what is really up to you all. But I don't see them going away. We'll hit those key progress measures. We'll move forward from the key progress measures, but there's still a lot more work to be done underneath all of those priorities.
Yeah, and if I just add, it's my hope that there are a lot of good ones in there, and it does align with your framework, and that they would be embedded in there. And for instance, one of our priorities is marketing. Well, marketing should be a tactic that supports all of those priorities, but for us now it is kind of a key area of address. And then I would hope that after a year, or if we were lucky, that it would go back to being that support structure across all of the other priorities and not a priority in and of itself.
Yeah. I think I also heard at our last meeting, culture kind of aligned, was the same sort of thing as marketing, was that it's maybe it's not its own bucket, but it's embedded in each of the student experience, the staff experience, stakeholder experience. And so I think, I think those are, things that we've heard. And again, at the end of the day, you all will have your eyes on this and on the framework, and we want to make sure we anchor on the right priorities.
And then the other key thing that we're missing too is this has to reflect the vision and values of the community, and some of those might change once we get what our parents and other stakeholders deem as important. And so, I anticipate these carrying through, but know that based on the work that goes into a strategic plan, that they may shift or become more, like you said, tactical to the and supports to the other priorities of the plan.
Yeah, and I also want to just mention, since we're talking about community input, or stakeholder input, that we do have those community meetings on the 26th and 27th. We welcome you all to join us at those meetings. I know, again, this is a very large district, so we'll do 3 meetings on the 26th and 3 meetings on the 27th, I believe, aligned to the high schools and maybe their feeder patterns. And so I know the staff will get you those details, that information on where we'll be. But we welcome you all to be a part of that. And if you do choose to attend those meetings, we ask that you be there as observers and listeners, not as participants. And I think that's key. Tonight we're going to be doing some of the same activities that we'll be doing with the community. But I think it's really a powerful exercise for you all as a board to hear from the community what they perceive to be, what's happening in the district, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities.
Thank you.
Do you want to add anything?
No.
Okay.
Thank you for answering my question.
Yes.
I appreciate that.
Eloquent listening is sometimes as important or more important than eloquent speech.
Yeah. So for tonight or today, 4 things that we want to accomplish. One, we want to go through the exercise of the SWOT analysis with you Y'all, I know y'all have done this before, you've been through this. And we want to just do a refresh of this with you guys. And this is the same exercise we will do with your senior leader team, and then also with the community. And we gather all of this information, like we put it into this pile it all together, and then we start looking for common themes across all of the groups. And what are some common themes that we're hearing across all groups? Maybe those rise to the top as things that we need to really consider as maybe it fits into one of these priorities as an action strategy or as a goal. So I think we've got to just be thinking about that, looking for those big rocks that might surface in our SWOT analyses. And then vision mapping, we want to talk tonight again. We'll approach the community about vision and mission, but I think again, you all set the direction for your district, and I think it really starts with you all. And we want to understand what you all perceive for the future of Arlington ISD. What do you all want to become as a district? And if you're talking about marketing, what is it that we're marketing about? Let's have that conversation. Team trust and good governance. Y'all took some inventories. It's been a while. It's been a hot minute. And we've got those results, and we want to be able to spend some time having some honest conversation around team trust and good governance and how we function as a team. Because at the end of the day, we move at the speed of trust. And so we want to make sure that if things are right at the highest level, that trickles down at the very core of where the work is actually happening at the operational level. All right, like anything else you want to add to that? Yeah, I think we're good. You ready to?
Yep. Okay. So before we move on, we're going to go into closed for the remainder of our discussion tonight. So it is now 4:31, and we will move to closed session pursuant to section 551.074 and 551.071 of the Texas Government Code for the items listed on our agenda. We're now in closed session. Okay, the board is returning from closed session at 6:31. The board took no action in closed session. There being no other business on our agenda this evening, I will go ahead and call this meeting adjourned also at 6:31. Good evening.